At the beginning of the film, we are shown an incident that occurs in Finland. A young girl named Alia is running from several men in the forest. It turns out that the men who are chasing Alia are actually members of her own family. She then plunges into the lake, but the men manage to catch her before she drowns. After that, the scene moves to a bank, where a man named Rex is waiting in line for a certain purpose. Not sure why he's there, but it's clear that he's there to see Maddie, his crush. While Rex is talking to her, their place is suddenly attacked by robbers who instantly killed a security guard at the bank. As a result, the situation which was previously calm has now become tense. Rex then notices a gun in a woman's bag, but the woman can't do anything because it is too risky for her to act in such a dangerous situation. When everyone is under threat, Rex suddenly behaves strangely, where it looks like he tries to hold his emotions in order not to act rashly. But something unexpected happens, where the woman's bag containing the gun is suddenly thrown and lands right on Rex's lap. After that, the scene moves to a courtroom, not sure what has happened, but Rex is suddenly sued by the judge for slaughtering all of the robbers at the bank earlier. Despite the fact that he saved many lives during that incident and is considered a hero, he's still sentenced to 8 years in prison. 8 years later, we are shown Rex, who has been released from prison, staring at a magazine that has a picture of his own face. For the time being, it appears in the magazine that he is still considered a hero due to his heroic acts 8 years ago. After Rex gets out of prison, he is not being shunned by society, but instead, he is always noticed by the public and chased by reporters. This of course makes Rex feel uncomfortable, and it is at this point that his own conscience or a different side of himself shows up in the physical realm. As we can see, his alter ego is more emotional in nature than himself. As soon as Rex realizes he can no longer bear their presence, he gets to his feet and throws his desk at the entire group. But in reality, it is all just his imagination acting as a release for his emotions due to his current stress. Although Rex is widely regarded as a hero, there are still some people who don't like his heroic efforts and regard him as a psycho-twat. Rex then goes to see his friend and says that he is fed up with his life now, which is no longer normal because so many people are drawn to him. As a result, he finally decides to leave the city where he lives now, and move to Finland. Plus, the reason Rex wants to go to Finland is very rational because when he was in prison, he shot a spitball and it landed right in Finland. After that, the scene moves to a forest which shows a man running from the pursuit of several people. The people who are chasing the man look like the people at the beginning of the film. This means that this entire incident happens in Finland, which will be Rex's next destination. The man is then forcefully pulled by a strong creature that sounds terrifying. We go back to Rex. He is now already at the airport, and as usual, there's a guy who starts to film him. Moreover, Rex also notices that there's a husband and wife who are keeping an eye on him. When things start to get noisy again and people start filming him, he becomes more and more annoyed, and he eventually decides to go to the restroom. However, it appears that the couple's husband is already in the toilet and is staring at Rex while he is peeing in the bathroom. And when Rex returns to his seat, the strange couple's wife gives him a creepy smile. After Rex arrives in Finland, he is waiting for a taxi, and from a distance there is a taxi driver watching him. The taxi driver immediately cuts through another taxi line and stops right in front of him. When Rex is in his taxi, the driver then releases anesthetic gas, which causes him to become unconscious and eventually pass out. In a house, a family is seen preparing dinner and they don't look suspicious at all. The only thing that will surprise us is when we see Rex, who has already been kidnapped and tied in the basement of their house. At this moment, Rex's hands are tied and one of his legs has been amputated. Rex, who has just realized this, tries to scream, but is stopped by someone. It turns out that the person is Rex's conscience, who tells him to keep his mouth shut. After that, he represents Rex to release his emotions by screaming for what has happened to him. In fact, his conscience appears to be smarter and more sadistic than he is, and it plays a significant role in both Rex's life and death. He can also analyze the situation of any incident that occurs to Rex, including the one that is currently taking place. After completing the observation, his conscience concludes that the perpetrators of the incident that happens to him now are the strange husband and wife couple from the airport. When Rex is crying over his condition, his conscience can't stand it and starts thinking of ways to get out of there. However, because of the strength of the tie that binds his hands, his conscience has other plans for ensuring his survival. According to his conscience, if the perpetrator suddenly appears, he must pretend to be unconscious. Furthermore, after noticing lots of bicycles around him, the alter ego assumes that the perpetrators who kidnapped him are a family. Meanwhile, all of the family members have already gone to sleep upstairs. But the youngest child in the family, named Alia, is not yet asleep and is curious about their victim this time. Rex, who hasn't had enough time to untie the rope yet, tries to do so with his teeth. The young boy, on the other hand, decides to go down to the basement, where Rex has been held. However, his efforts are in vain because the rope is too thick. After the young boy enters the room, Rex immediately pretends to be unconscious. Rex then finds out that the person who came is just a child, so he comes up with a plan to make the child an insurance policy to get him out of that place. He tries to persuade Alia, before kicking him in the face with his amputated leg and flanking him with his thighs. Not long after, his sister realizes that her little brother is not in bed, so she decides to look for him in the basement. It turns out that this woman's name is Alia, and she is the young girl who tried to run away from several men earlier. This explains that it is her family who are kidnapping Rex at this time. At this point, Rex threatens to break the boy's neck if Alia attempts to kill him. But since Rex is too panicked about his own safety, he accidentally lets go of Alia, which makes him lose his guarantee to get out of there. When Alia is found unconscious in the room, the psychopath family rushes him to the hospital. The mother then slaps Alia because she thought that Alia hurt her little brother. At this point, we can conclude that Alia has a different nature than her family and that she could be a great opportunity for Rex to get out of there. The opportunity is bolstered when Alia suddenly smiles and imagines herself married to Rex, which means that she is attracted to Rex at first sight. Since her family is in the hospital, Alia immediately goes downstairs to see Rex and treats his leg. Alia then expresses her feelings to Rex. It is at this point that she begins to tell the story of how her family began to kidnap people and make them food for her eldest brother. Since the birth of her first brother, he has been suffering from a disorder that causes him to crave and eat human flesh. This was proven by the fact that he started biting his father when he was a baby. Therefore, since that incident, her family began to kidnap people to satisfy her eldest brother's hunger, although Alia didn't agree with it. When the older brother didn't like the flesh of a person, they were forced to find another victim as a replacement. Night after night, death came to Alia's life, and she had tried many times to run away from her family. But they were always able to track her down until they imprisoned her in a wooden cage built by her father. After telling the story, Alia begins to feel sorry for Rex and leaves the knife on the floor, asking Rex to take it himself. But when Rex manages to get it and tries to cut the rope, Alia's three brothers suddenly appear and intend to execute Rex right away. Rex immediately pretends to be unconscious, and his plan is successful because the brothers cancel their intention. Meanwhile, his personal conscience looks very angry and really wants to end their lives. And we will soon see that this family of cannibals has chosen the wrong guy to kidnap. After that, they notice Rex's leg, which has already been bandaged, and they immediately look for Alia in her room. But Alia turns out to be hiding in the basement, and suddenly her brother comes back there and takes her upstairs. After that, Rex is injected with some liquid, which causes him to suddenly laugh. We are then transported back to 8 years ago, when Rex fought the robbers at the bank. We finally get to see how brutal Rex was when he slaughtered all of the robbers there. It is seen that his conscience was controlling him at that time, and with such brutality, he managed to become a hero to all of the visitors there. Finally, when Rex tried to save his lover, the robber was frightened by the fact that Rex didn't care who was going to die there. After Maddie was released, Rex, influenced by his own ego, shot the robber, and the robber's weapon accidentally fired into a cupboard. An unfortunate thing happened when a bank employee who was hiding inside the cupboard died due to the fired gun. So this is the reason why Rex was sentenced to 8 years in prison, for allegedly sacrificing other people's lives to satisfy his desires. Plus, since Rex's sentence was too long, Maddie, who had been saved by him, decided to end their relationship because she didn't want to waste her time waiting for him to be released. We then return to Rex. When he regains consciousness, he notices that his leg is being cut off by the psychopath at that moment. He then kicks the psychopath, which causes the psycho to rush off to get an anesthetic. At the same time, Rex tries to cut the rope that binds his hands with the knife from Alia. When the man returns to him, Rex quickly stabs the knife into his ear canal. Without wasting any time, Rex is now looking for some tools and weapons needed to escape from there. Fortunately, he finds some tools that will help him in the next scene. Rex tries his best to get to the top floor, relying on the golf club he has attached to his leg. After he manages to get out of the basement, his conscience tells him to bring Alia out of the house as well. Rex then walks out of the house and thinks about the words of his conscience again. It looks like they have made a decision about what they will do next after this. When both parents come home from the hospital, they are shocked by the bloodstains in front of their house. At this moment, it turns out that their children are still asleep. Their parents gather them and scold them for letting Rex escape. Fearing that Rex would come back with the police, they plan to move out of the house. But it looks like their plan will fail. It turns out that Rex has been waiting for them under the table, and he kills them one by one using a nail gun. As Rex tries to shoot the mother, the nail bullets run out, and he kicks the mother in the head with a golf club attached to the amputated leg. When her son sees the incident, he tries to attack Rex, but Rex quickly throws a knife into his body, causing him to die. Alia then kills her own mother, who is just woken up from unconsciousness. After all of this horrific incident, it turns out that they are still not free because they still have to face Alia's eldest cannibal brother. Her brother eventually appears, going down the stairs with his big body like a monster. In the end, Rex and the cannibal fight each other, and when Rex manages to cling to the refrigerator door, he sees that there is a piece of his right leg inside. He looks happy because it turns out that his right leg still hasn't been eaten by the cannibal. He then takes his right leg and immediately thrusts it into the cannibal's mouth. After it is all over, Rex takes Alia back to America, where they decide to live together. One night, Rex and Alia are seen hanging out at a place with their friends. One of their friends seems interested in Rex, which makes Alia jealous. At this moment, it turns out that Alia also has the same alter ego as Rex. She imagines killing the woman who makes her jealous. This shows that the two of them are a perfect match since they have almost similar alter egos. Meanwhile, in another place, the youngest child from Alia's family who has recovered from the injury intends to avenge the death of his family. And with that, the film ends.